Hi, hello. Let's see if anyone's online. Hi, everyone. My name is Anu, and I teach English on italki.com. Thank you so much for registering on italki. Let's have a look to see if anyone is already here. If you're here, say hello. I'd love to hear from you. Have a look. I guess nobody's here yet. Okay, no worries. Brilliant. All right, so I want to tell you a little bit about italki. I guess most of you already are aware about italki, but I'll just give you a brief introduction, just in case. So italki is a global language learning community that connects students and teachers like myself for one-on-one online language lessons. Do you know that there are over 10,000 teachers on the platform? That's a lot of teachers like me. And out of them, more than 3,000 teach English. I'm one of them, and maybe I'll be seeing you soon in one of my lessons too. Okay, so one interesting fact that you may not know is that according to research conducted by Queen's University and University of South Carolina, italki came out as the #1 online platform to learn a language. #1, that's pretty amazing. It takes just 19 hours on italki compared to a college semester to move from one level to another level in a language. So imagine that you're a beginner or you're A1. You can actually move to A2 within just a duration of 19 hours compared to 45 hours in average, which is at college. Think about the time you save, as well as the money and the convenience of learning from anywhere you want. You could learn from your office, from your school, from your own room. Why don't you try taking an online lesson with an italki teacher? Here is a coupon you can use to get $10 off your first purchase on the platform. So if you purchase anything, you will get an extra $10. Let me put that in the chat box so that you can see it here. All right, let's make that a bit clearer. Oops. All right, give me 2 seconds. Here's the coupon, guys. So this coupon, by the way, is only for your first lesson on italki. So if you have already recharged your italki account before, you can't use it, unfortunately. So here you go. So you'll use the coupon ANU, which is my name. So nice and easy to remember. It's ANU, ANU. All right, let me add a few more details about the coupon, and then I'll tell you a little bit about English lessons on italki. All right. So today I want to tell you a little bit about how to get the most out of an online English lesson. So here are some of the things that we'll talk about. We'll talk about how to create a goal for your language learning, really important. We'll talk about how to find the right teacher to lead you to your goal. We'll talk about how to get the most out of an online English lesson. It's no point booking an online English lesson if you don't get everything that you can from it. We'll talk about how to create a language learning plan and stick to it. And finally, we'll talk about how to move from one language level to another in the fastest way possible. All right, so let's get started with how to create a goal for language learning. So before every lesson, you really need to think about what exactly you want to achieve. So if you're learning English, for example, maybe you want to be able to go to a doctor's appointment and describe different health problems. Or maybe you want to master the second conditional. Or perhaps you'd like to perfect your pronunciation and pronounce fuzz and fuss differently. That's difficult, right? Fuzz and fuss. That's hard for me too. If you set a goal before you start, then you'll feel so much more successful at the end of the lesson when you achieve that goal and come closer to achieving that goal. So make sure you set specific goals. So your goal really shouldn't be, I will speak English fluently at the end of the hour. That's impossible. It should really be something like, I'll be able to speak about health problems fluently at the end of the hour. So make it really, really, really specific, and it will help you to achieve small victories more often, and you'll feel more motivated. Remember that every minute counts. So even if you're having a really relaxed lesson, you really want to get something out of it. So the big goal is, of course, fluency, but to reach fluency, you've got to complete these small goals first. If you already know what goals you want to achieve, you can share them with your teacher before the lesson. If you're not sure, you can always plan your English learning goals with your teacher. By the way, if you have a learning goal at the moment, I would love to find out about it. So if you're here and you're watching, you can quickly type what your learning goal is. I'd love to know. All right, so let's talk a little bit about how to find the right teacher to lead you to this goal that you've decided. So you've got a clear idea about creating a goal. So let's talk more about the right teacher on italki. So I'll let you in on a little secret which most of my students don't know about. It's not really a secret, but it's something a lot of people don't use. It's always better to choose filters on italki to find the right teacher. There, I said it. It's not a big secret, but so many people don't know to use these filters. And if you're using these filters, you can really narrow down the right teacher for you. Let me show you how it's done. Give me a second to share my screen. Oh, this is so exciting. All right, so hopefully you can now see my screen. So if you are on this page, you would click on Find a Teacher. And now you are on this page where you can see all of these teachers that are available. So you've already got Learning English as your main filter. So if you're learning English, now you can see a list of all of our English teachers. And let's imagine that you want to make it a little bit more focused. So let's say that you want to look at a teacher who also teaches exam English. So let's look at skills, and you go ahead and click on test preparation. You can also pick a really specific exam. So for example, if you are preparing for the IELTS, I know a lot of you are, especially if you want to go to university in the UK, where I'm from, you might want to do the IELTS. So when you click on IELTS, now you've got teachers who only teach the IELTS exam. This is a great way to find out teachers who are professionals in one particular topic, so they are experts in that topic. Now imagine that you're learning general English and you don't really care about IELTS very much. So then in that case, you can get rid of this filter by clicking this X icon, and you can look for different skills instead. So for example, let's say I want writing as my specific need, I can find just teachers who teach writing. So here's a list again of teachers who are experts at writing. You could even make it more fun. So imagine that you like writing stories and you want to improve your fiction writing style in English. So now you've actually got a list of teachers who teach English and they also enjoy writing stories, and they'll probably be able to help you really well. One more thing that you can do is you can decide if you want a teacher who speaks your language. So let's imagine that you are, Japanese, and you want a teacher who will speak Japanese to you. So you've got now teachers who will teach you English and they also speak Japanese. So this is really useful if you're not very comfortable speaking in English at the moment, but you would like somebody who can help you with learning English, but also you feel comfortable because you can use your own native language if you wanted to. All right, so let me stop sharing for a minute so I can tell you a little bit more about italki. Okay, right. So, like I said a second ago, searching teachers by the skill that you're looking for or your interests, so writing stories, scuba diving, reading, whatever it is, it's really important to do that so that you can relate to the teacher and build a right connection. So once you've shortlisted your teachers, it's really important to go and check the profile of each of the teachers. Something that's really cool about italki is that every teacher has an introduction video. It's really important to go through this video to understand the story of the teacher, their background, the languages they speak, their accent, and if you're able to understand it as well. So you're picking a teacher who you feel an instant connection with. I think that's a really good idea. You should also go through the teacher's self-introduction as well, and also check the reviews given by students. And you can also check specific types of courses or services that the teacher provides. Next, if you have any questions for the teacher, click on Contact Teacher and ask your question before you book the lesson. Or if everything looks fine, then just go ahead and book the lesson. Remember, you have 3 trial lessons, which are 30-minute lessons, and are meant for you to take a trial with a teacher before choosing to learn with them. Choose them wisely though, and at an average price, which is half of the full hour lesson, or even as low as $1, I think you should definitely try it out. Okay, so I would love to talk a little bit about how to get the most out of an online English lesson. All right, the first thing you should do is come prepared. Make sure that you have everything you need to succeed in the online lesson. So this includes things like a laptop, your passwords for italki, for Skype, and things like that. You might need a book or some flashcards, and you might need a pen. Most importantly, you need to create some time, some quiet time in your life for English lessons, hopefully daily. One thing that's really important, especially for my lessons, is you should really ask the teacher if you need to do any homework before the lesson. A lot of teachers, like me, really like to give some work before the lesson. For example, I might ask you to watch a video or read a newspaper article before coming to class. Then we would discuss what you did, talk about what you found difficult, and then talk a little bit more about the grammar and the vocabulary in the homework that I gave you. Remember that your lesson is one-to-one, so you can actually decide exactly what you want to work on. Tell the teacher what you want to work on. Do you want to work on listening, speaking, reading, or writing? You will get a personalized lesson that focuses on your problems. And if you're not sure what to work on, then you can ask your teacher directly what they think. Your teacher can also correct small mistakes that you probably didn't even notice, and can help you use English more naturally and send learning materials to you directly online through the use of Google Documents or Skype or any other platform. Google Docs is brilliant because you can really connect with your teacher in a very easy way. The teacher will put homework there, you can access homework, and then once you've done it, you can just put the homework back in that same folder. That's what I do with my students. Now, most of the new students who come to me are often worried about their speaking, but trust me, you are guaranteed to improve your speaking with online lessons because it's one-to-one, and you're going to be speaking with the teacher on Skype the whole time, maybe for the whole hour that you do the lesson. Ask them questions. Be prepared to be asked questions as well. Nothing to be worried about here. All teachers come with experience teaching beginners or advanced learners just like you. If you are an intermediate or advanced learner in English, you can directly start speaking to the teacher, and the teacher will be able to assess your level and provide you with a plan to get the best results. By setting specific, clear goals, it means that you will always achieve something at the end of each lesson hour. This is really important. If you achieve something at the end of each hour, you feel a little bit more, how do I say this, confident, motivated to do the next lesson and to study more and to get better and better at English. So even if it's a lesson focused on just speaking, just a few sentences to start a conversation or a list of questions you want to ask your teacher, this will save you a lot of time before moving on to new topics. Now, this is a really cool thing you can do as well. You can ask the teacher if you can record the lesson. Some of my students ask me if it's okay to record the lessons we have, and I always agree. It's a really great idea because you can revise the lesson with the teacher before the next lesson. And also, if you are going through the audio recordings, it will make your memory about the topic a little bit stronger, and it will also help you understand your teacher's pronunciation better. All right, so next I want to tell you a little bit more about how to create a language learning plan and stick to it as well. So first thing you should probably do is really be realistic about how much time you have. Check your schedule and decide how much time you can realistically spend on learning languages. Remember that if you have 2 hours a day, then you could take a 30-minute or 1 hour lesson and spend the rest of the time reviewing what you did in class. I'll give you an example of one of my favorite students, really hardworking. This student has a very, very busy lifestyle with work and his family, his children. So he doesn't really have a lot of time to study English. So he does lessons during his daily commute to work. If you're not sure what commute means, commute is your daily journey, usually to work or to school. So on his daily commute to work every day, which takes him 1 hour to go and 1 hour to come back, he takes a lesson 1 hour on the train in the morning with me, and he calls me to practice his speaking. On his way back from work, he reviews all of the vocabulary that I taught him in the morning. So this is a great example of someone who has very limited time. I'm sure you're the same. but they're using that limited time they have to practice. Okay, so next, if you've decided how much time you have and what you will do with it, put it on paper. I really highly suggest this. Put it on paper. Write it down. Writing your goals down and putting it on your calendar is a great way to make sure that you will do it. When you schedule a lesson with a teacher, you make a commitment to meet them and study at the time that you book it for. This commitment makes sure that you do the lesson and complete your language learning plan. If you've been self-studying for a while, then you really understand what I'm talking about. It's very easy to make excuses and to say, oh, I'll do that later. But if you've made that commitment, if you've booked a lesson with a teacher, you really don't have any excuse. You have to use that hour or half an hour to talk to that teacher that you've booked. And this makes sure that you do the lesson and you commit and complete your language learning plan. It's also really important to be consistent. So consistent means that you don't just study for 2 days and then stop forever. You study maybe 2 or 3 times a week and you continue studying 2 or 3 times a week for a long time. So hiring a teacher on italki is kind of like getting an accountability partner. Let me explain what an accountability partner is. So when I first started exercising, I started it with a friend. Now, before that, every time I tried to start exercising, I would make excuses, I would wake up late, I would say, oh, I'm too tired today, I don't want to go for a run. But because I started with a friend this time, it was really motivating. Because when I was tired or lazy, my friend would push me to work out harder. It's the same with a teacher. If you've decided that you're going to do a lesson 2 times a week and your teacher knows that, then your teacher would remind you about each lesson, would send you homework on a daily basis, and you are committed to teaching or learning with that teacher. So in a way, you've got an accountability partner for learning English. I think it's brilliant. The last thing I would suggest in terms of creating a language learning plan is make your plan about short-term goals and forget about long-term goals for the moment. So like I said before, it doesn't really help if your goal is, I want to speak English fluently. It's not really something that will happen very, very soon. So ideally, you want to make short-term goals. And this means that you feel like, wow, I've achieved something now. Isn't that great? So your language learning plan needs to take into account the time that you have to study. And then you need to write down how many hours you will spend a day or per week and let your teacher know about that as well. And then tell your teacher to be your accountability partner. That's the best way to have a language learning plan and stick to it. This is so important. Stick to it. Be consistent. All right, so the last thing I want to tell you about is how to move from one level to the next level in the fastest way possible. Okay, so first things first, identify your weaknesses. What are you so weak in? Are you not very good at speaking in a public space? Are you not very good at speaking about a particular topic? For example, are you really good at social everyday English, but not very good when you are trying to describe more complex ideas like politics or science? So you need to find out what exactly your problem is. Most students just think that their problem is, I don't know English. That's not true. You know English, but you need to find out what your weaknesses are and remove them from your strengths. You have strengths, trust me. you need to then think about that weakness and try and incorporate some practice for that weakness in your daily life. So, for example, if you feel that your speaking, reading, listening are okay, but your writing is just terrible, you don't feel confident, you want to really improve your writing, maybe you have to send emails every day at work, you just don't feel confident about it, then your weakness is writing and you want to incorporate writing practice in your daily life. So some of the great things you can do for writing are, for example, you can have a daily journal. A journal is like a diary. And at the end of the day, if you're at a very beginner level, you could just talk about what you did. I woke up at this time, I went to school or I went to work, I took the bus, it took me 45 minutes. You're practicing a lot of language there. If you are a more advanced learner, you could answer specific questions. For example, what made me happy today? Or what are 3 things that I'm really grateful about? So having this daily journal is a great way to feel more comfortable about writing. The best thing about a daily journal is nobody will see it, but a good idea for a daily journal is to ask your teacher to check it. Once they're checking it, then you will get feedback and your next journal will be even better. So your writing will improve every time you write. The next thing I would suggest is if your problem is speaking, for example, speak to yourself and most importantly, find a teacher on italki. If speaking is your only issue, it's a great idea to find a teacher who is available more than once or twice a week and book lessons with them so that you get consistent practice. Unless you are exposed to the language and a native speaker or a really near native speaker, you're probably not going to be able to speak and listen very fast. So if you have trouble with any skill, identify it first and then find a way to incorporate the practice for just that skill in your daily life. Whether it's reading or writing, or if it's listening, maybe you listen more to radio on your commute. If it's reading, you read the headlines every day before you go to work. Something so simple, but really, really useful. Okay, so I hope that you've got a really clear idea about how to get the most out of your online English lesson. I would really like to thank you for your time and patience. If any people are joining late, I want to share this coupon for learning English on italki with any teacher. It's from me to you. Let me just share it in a second. You can use this awesome coupon. The coupon is just my name, Anu, A-N-U, 3 letters, A-N-U. And you can use it to get an additional $10 when you buy your first lesson on italki. So let me put that here. And here are some rules to be careful about. You can only use this coupon if it's your first lesson on italki. Let me just add that here as well. Oops. Okay. All right, brilliant. Let's see. Remember to save this coupon and use it now to book your first lesson. Okay, so remember the coupon is ANU, just 3 letters. Okay, so now is the exciting part of the lesson. I am available for any questions that you have regarding learning English. Give me a little comment and ask me your questions. I'll answer them. Let me have a quick look to see who's here and who's asking questions. Okay, let's have a look. Oh, lots of people said hello. Hi. I'm so glad you joined. I hope you stay till the end. Okay, question. I was a math teacher or I've been a math teacher, please. It depends. You could say I was a math teacher if you are retired. So if you're saying I'm retired now, you were a math teacher in the past. If you say I've been a math teacher, it means that you're still a math teacher currently. Cool tip, by the way, math is American, and if you add an S to the end, it becomes maths, and it's more common in the UK to say maths. I'm from London originally. I've lived in Oxford for many years though, and we say maths. We don't say math, but it's kind of interesting, right? American, British. You're learning Japanese here. Hey, I use it to learn Japanese as well. I'm so glad. Really, really happy to read that. Susanna, my friend, is here. Hello to both of you. Is it typical for teachers to contact you in between lessons with homework? This is Chelsea asking this question. It is typical for teachers to contact you in between lessons with homework. If they don't, just ask them if you can have homework, and usually they will just provide it for you. In my case, for example, I send at the very beginning on your trial lesson, for example, or your first lesson with me, I send you a link to a Google Drive folder. Only 2 people have access to this folder. It's me and you, the student. And so every time I add homework, you can just check and you will see that the folder has been updated. You can upload your homework to it. So I don't really contact you in between lessons. My students already know where to go and check for their homework. It's always available after their lesson. So it's quite nice and easy. Thank you. It was a useful session. Oh, I'm so glad. Thank you so much for your coupon. I love your speech. Oh, so sweet. Thank you so much. What's the difference between green and blue? We say ow, yes, aoi. Okay, fine. Dictionary says green and blue. So we consider those as 2 separate colors. How can I describe green? So green is actually very similar to what I'm wearing here, and blue is very similar to my earrings. So we consider them completely different colors, and I speak Japanese, so I actually know that that is an issue. They are considered the same in Japanese, but think about blue as the color of the sky and green as the color of plants. Hello, I can't find your teacher profile. Search for my name. It's ANU. It's also the coupon you can use to get $10, additional $10 when you buy any italki credits. Do you prefer to call your students first, or do you prefer to write them a message first and then to start a lesson? That's a good question. I always send a quick message which says, hello, are you ready, or shall we start? I only ask this question because sometimes students are doing something else, or maybe they're already on the phone and they need maybe 1 more minute to start the lesson. So I ask this question just to check if the student is really ready to receive a video call. So that's really the only thing I ask them. I don't really write any long messages. If the student wants to practice writing, I could do that, but I don't really do that. I usually just say, hi, shall we start? Or hi, are you ready? How many languages do you speak? Oh, so many. I went to university, I studied Japanese and Korean, and then I went to do my master's from Oxford, and I did that in Japanese literature. So I speak a lot of languages, but English is my first and my native language. Is it better to learn from someone from my own country or a native speaker? I think that when you are an absolute beginner, it's a good idea to learn from a native speaker who also speaks a little bit of your language. It makes it a little bit less scary when you're a student. But if you are like a pre-intermediate or intermediate student and your question is really well written, so I'm sure you are more than intermediate, it's a good idea to learn directly from a native speaker, or a near-native speaker is also very good. Thank you. Oh, thank you to you too. I don't see any more questions, but I'll hang out here with you guys for a little bit longer. You can ask me any questions you like about lessons in English. You can ask me about italki. I've actually been on italki for, oh goodness, like 6 years or 5 years. I joined in 2012 when I was still a student, and I'm still here. I really like it. Uh, it's really cool to see people responding. Let's see, are there any more questions for me? This is really exciting. All right, so it looks like people have run out of questions, but no problem. I'm so excited, guys. I'll see you again in a few hours. But if you have any questions, don't forget to put them in the comments. I'll get back to you at some point. And of course, we will see each other very soon. Oh, someone's just posted. Oh, thank you so much, Italki. You've just posted my teacher profile. Go ahead and have a look if you'd like to have a lesson with me. I would be so, so, so excited to do that. Send me a message if you like, if you have more questions as well. All right, I'm going to leave all of you now and go off and do another lesson for an actual student. So have a lovely, lovely day, whatever time of the day it is for you, and I will see you next time. Bye, guys.